Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing, everybody? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. Today is Wednesday, which means we have made it halfway through the week, and we are almost ready to roll here on just getting halfway to the weekend here. So we're gonna get you halfway through. Make sure that you have that momentum going into and building for the weekend, which whatever you have coming up, hopefully it's a lot of fun. But still got a couple more days left. But tomorrow's Thursday. We got some sports to talk about tonight, Scotty. You're not going to be on mute this time when I throw it to you, right?
I'm pretty sure I turned the mic on. Actually, it was after we went live, so I was like, oh, better make sure that's on. I did it really discreetly, though, so don't worry. No one noticed, unless everyone did.
Unless everyone did, yeah. So, how's the week treating you so far, Scotty? We got a lot busy, show ahead. But as far as the week goes in general, how's everything looking?
Week's been all right. Just busy. A lot of figuring out to do for All-Star Game stuff coming up at the job. So, because there's 3 days at the stadium, but then there's also a lot of different events throughout Denver going on that are ticketed events that we got to make sure we staff and have everything under control and locked down. So should be fun, but at the same time, it'll be nice when it's over.
There we go. Yeah. All-Star Game's coming up quick here in Colorado. It's going to be a big weekend for sure. When they have, actually, is that during the week or is that the weekend?
Yeah, the All-Star Game's on Tuesday. So it's the 12th of July. Home Run Derby's Monday, and then Sunday they have the Futures All-Star Game plus the Celebrity Softball Game.
There we go. So I can't wait to see all the details on that. Belly, how we doing, my friend? Thanks for popping in the chat. Thanks for joining us. What up, fellas? Y'all looking sexy. Ooh.
We try.
We're trying to do what we can here. So glad you guys think so. Hopefully we can keep this sex appeal rolling through all of our various topics we have going on tonight.
It was difficult. I had to grab the first shirt and hat I saw before coming down here because I was running a little behind. So it took a lot of effort to come up with this ensemble, but I did it.
Hey,
I did it, and I guess it's working.
You survived. You made it. We're here, and we're looking good. Obviously, how are you doing, Belly? How's let us know how you're feeling in the chat. Obviously, you're looking sexy. I don't even need to see you right now. So, appreciate you popping in. What's new with you? And anyone else who's in the chat, hope you're here. By the way, real quick, we're streaming live on 3 different platforms: Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you're here, if you're new, just make sure you keep tabs on everything we got going here. The best way to do that is to hit those follow buttons on all the different platforms. It doesn't cost you anything, and it means a lot to us. Plus, it's great to see you guys in the chat all the time, just watching the show. If you just want to watch, that's totally cool too. But we love the participation. We love to get to know you guys. So that just grows the Action Lab family a little bit more. So love each and every one of you. Hit that follow button if you have the availability to do so. We really appreciate it. So. Man, there's a lot of sports stories. We got some big games tonight. We got a big game in the NHL, big game in the NBA, game 1 going on here. So we have some big things going on that front. We have some Euro 2020 updates that we're going to be hitting you with. Man, we're going to get into some NBA talk, though. We have a lot to talk about, and we're not even going to get into some of the other pieces. As you can see in the title of our show, we got some trash players in the NBA that are in the playoffs right now, i.e., well, one is, one isn't, but we got Playoff P coming back in action. Just clutch, as always, i.e.,
super clutch.
The most clutch player, Playoff P. Pandemic P is back. Pandemic P. He missed some key free throws in that game the other night. Man, he could have put that game away potentially. It could have been over, and he clanks the free throws, man. Like, you have one job in the NBA, Scotty. We talk about this all the time. My wife always says you have one job, and that's to make baskets and shoot free throws and, be decent at it. You can't even do that right. That was the easiest chance he had to be in clutch. and couldn't get it going.
Yeah, ironically, he made a couple baskets right before that to get him to the spot they were. I will give him credit on that. We'll dive into this a lot more. I got a lot of thoughts on the ending to that game, on what went down, all the craziness. It was just a wild finish in Phoenix. So, and I don't even know. I didn't. The craziest part might be that I didn't see that there was a fight between the fans after the game.
Oh,
seems like in Phoenix, that's just what you do.
Phoenix
there wasn't
fans,
one, maybe.
Phoenix fans all of a sudden get on the national stage, and all of a sudden, everyone just is a tough guy. All of a sudden, I mean, where did this come from? I guess they haven't had the chance to be on the national stage ever. So, I mean, I guess the Steve Nash, era of the Phoenix Suns wasn't exactly a tough Phoenix Suns fan base, maybe.
What I love the most is after game one, I think there was a fight in the state, arena between some Phoenix and Clipper fans. And of course, afterwards, the Phoenix Suns release a statement being like, we don't condone fighting. That's not who our fan base is. Where they literally went out of their way, along with Devin Booker, to make sure the guy who was in Denver that got in a fight had great seats to game one of the final.
Oh, they promoted the shit out of that.
They were letting guys hand out shirts with the guy. It says Suns in 4 and a picture of the guy holding up a 4 sign outside the arena prior to game one. So it's just ridiculous that now the Suns are like, oh, we don't condone fighting. However, we will publicize the shit out of this because it's fun, and our guy dominated the Nuggets guy. Did you also see, we're going on a tangent I didn't expect, but
I love it.
Did you also see that the guy that he beat up on was interviewed?
Oh,
I don't even know.
I did see
I don't know
this.
who interviewed. And he was like, no, he didn't hurt me, and he didn't get any shots in it. Like, dude, you got, you were just sitting here like this, please, no. And you had the high ground. He had all the advantage. He had the high ground. He could have started. Did he even throw a punch? He got dominated. Why are you getting interviewed and being like, no, he didn't get any good shots in?
What's funny about that is the whole interview, they ended up going into some of the validity of his story, right? He was like, if I would have been knocked out, or whatever, I would have been beat up, I would have black eyes. That's kind of how it works. But then they were at one point, there was an interview with the Suns in 4 guy who was he was wearing fake jewelry, this and that. They ended up bringing a jewelry, a diamond raider, a little diamond reader, to see if his jewelry was real. He shows up on this interview, blinged out 4 watches on the wrist, his chain, he's got all these different things. They take the diamond tester, and it's all real. All of his diamonds are real. He's like, oh, these ain't fake, man. They didn't break when he went to go grab them, did they? And yeah, he had legit, I don't know where he got it from and whatever, but he was like, by the way, why would you wear, aren't you just asking to get jumped somewhere wearing jewelry like that, just flashing it all around and stuff?
Listen, there's a lot of people that make really good choices financially out there. So maybe one day we'll have a financial show. Can we have a financial show?
We should.
I think, was it you I told or somebody? I said, watching one of the Phoenix Suns games, because I was out in Arizona and I could have gone to Nuggets Suns game. I think I was out there for game 2. And I looked at prices and I was like, it's probably not worth it. Everything's pretty expensive. No big deal. I can watch it, on a TV. That'll be fine. And then they keep panning to the crowd, and this is gonna sound bad. This is gonna sound really bad. But I'm looking at the crowd, and I'm like, there are a lot of people in this crowd that are in my mind, making some bad financial decisions by being at this game right now. They don't look like they have a home, but here they are doling out cash to go to a playoff game in Phoenix. So
it's wild.
Got to do what you got to do,
Between that and all the Bitcoin madness and all the crazy cryptocurrency madness.
Is there any cryptocurrency left?
No, it's all gone. It's all melted away. All of our investments. We put our life savings into it on our end. So we literally are. I'm filming from right now a cardboard box outside of Starbucks right now. I took all my setup and put it out there. I lost it all.
Impressive.
Yeah.
You made it look good. You spent some time at it. It looks nice. It looks like you're almost at your crib. or what used to be your house.
Yeah, no, man, there's some memes out there on the Bitcoin. That's a whole nother story. We'll get into that later on another tangent. But hey, all you Bitcoiners, all you cryptocurrencies, let us know. Should we bail on this? Should we keep it? Diamond hands, right? Diamond hands. That's like what you call people who like hold on and never let go. It's like if you've ever been on, at least for me, an analogy would be, the first time I ever water skied and you get dragged through and you keep holding on to the rope no matter what, and you just let them drag through the water. Diamond hands. You don't let go. You just keep getting dragged. That's what it's like with Bitcoin right now.
I mean, I have the mentality that like if I pull out my whatever money I have left in now, I'm not going to be happy. So I'm going to be sad at how much I'm getting. So I might as well leave it in there and hope that it climbs. I'm going to be sad either way. If it doesn't climb and it drops more, I'll be like, well, I'm sad or I'm sad. So I'm going to leave it in there and hope I'm happy, which I think I will be. I do think it'll come back.
I mean, more related to our sports fans out there. It's like betting on something and then your bet is like really just, you can cash out when it's like really, really low, but you're just like, what's the point at this point? Like, they might come back and win this bet for me, so there's still a chance. Don't cash out.
Yeah.
Don't cash out.
No, I'm not going to feel good about that $5. Give me that hundo.
Yeah. Even if I do lose it, it's $5, right?
Right.
But since I'm in the back of a Starbucks right now, maybe I could use the $5. Buy myself a coffee or a mocha latte or something. Let's jump in, though. We have our news rundown now. Actually, I need to update this real quick because for some reason it didn't update on my end. So we got some different topics based off of what you're seeing here. So bear with me here as we get this all updated for you. But let's go ahead and we're going to touch on some various topics over the course of the season, NBA season, NHL, top to bottom. We go all across the board and get the best stories of the week. There we go. That looks about right. And we're starting out with Carl Nassib. This was a big story this week, Scotty. And, as far as Nassib goes, comes out as gay this week. And, good for him, right? Comes out and he makes the announcement, instantly has one of the top selling jerseys on the market when it comes to Fanatics, one of those jersey shops that pops out there. And man, he's definitely getting a lot of good publicity from this. I mean, he's the second guy behind Michael Sam to come out, right? Let me get the right scenes here. And yeah, he's kind of trailblazing this a little bit. He's the first kind of guy that's been actively on a roster that's been able to come out and make an announcement like this. So pretty, I mean, here's the thing. I don't get surprised about this anymore because a lot of the LGBTQ community is kind of gaining a lot of traction and everything else, over the course of just getting, more rights and more of a voice. And so like this doesn't necessarily like scream out like this is shocking or whatever. But I think it's good. I mean, I think this more inclusive nature is really good for, anyone who's really not feeling like they can, talk about the things they want to talk about themselves. And this kind of gives them that platform and someone to look up to do on a small scale what he's doing. And that's, sharing his personal information and life of what he, is all about. And so he ended up coming out, confirmed that he pledged $100,000 towards the Trevor Project, an organization that provides crisis and suicide prevention services to LGBTQ community. And the NFL came out Tuesday and said they wanted to match this donation. And Roger Goodell is proud of, Carl for courageously sharing his truth. Representation matters, so on and so forth. So, big story here, and just, good for him for being able to come out. It takes a lot of guts. Not a lot of people in the NFL, if there are more, have done what he's done. Only Michael Sam. And Michael Sam phased out of the league pretty quickly. So, yeah, No, I remember actually Nassib on Hard Knocks. If you remember the Hard Knocks.
Oh yeah.
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 Did he get cut, by the way, in that? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I don't think so, because maybe he did, and then they just brought him back or re-signed him. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like this, it's great to see the feedback that's happened here. It's been infinitely positive, which maybe wasn't the case in 2014 when Michael Sam. I feel like then it was a much larger story, and people were talking about how does this affect a locker room. How do the other players in the locker room feel about that? Like, there was a lot more discussion where now it's just like, okay, yeah, he's all right. He's gay. All right, fine. Let's move. Like, great.
Sure.
I'm sure that took a lot of guts for him and helps a lot of people who are maybe struggling to share maybe that side of them if they are in fact gay. So him being a leader in that respect and seeing from a celebrity like this in sports, especially where you just don't see it often, the feedback that he's got, which has been just very, very positive and not a lot of negative feedback that I've seen, at least. It just shows that, like, we've come, a lot of times people want to just pick up the bad things, but compared to when Michael Sam in 2014 came out, in the course of 7 years, we've come a decent way as far as, being more inclusive, understanding of this, LGBTQ community, and just allowing them to be who they are and accept them and love them regardless of who, their lifestyle or whatever interest they have outside of football. He has a job. He has a job to be a football player. He's going to continue to do that. And, his quarterback, Derek Carr, who I like to make fun of because he's, he's a bit of a goober. But he came out and was like, I love him. We're a family here. And, I love all my teammates, love him, happy for him that he was able to do this. And let's go win a Super Bowl, which was adorable. The only downside to this is, and you touched on that, he was the top selling jersey the 24 hours after this, he released this video. Now, the only unfortunate thing is that he plays for the Raiders, and the Raiders probably just picked it. First of all, you bought a Raiders jersey. I'm sorry. And second of all, there's probably a lot of new Raider fans now that are going to feel the pain of being a Raider fan because, man, that's not the franchise you want to follow.
I mean, still, depending on the Broncos situation, the Raiders, I still have projected finishing last in this division. They still have a long way to go, and they still have a lot of issues. They still have a lot of things that are – so this might be the bright spot that gets the Raiders some attention over the course of this season that they might not normally get because they're so bad. So there's this – let's just throw that out there. But from this standpoint, good for him, though. Love the story. It's fantastic that he's able to do what he's doing. So – it's not even a great looking jersey in the first place because it's just, black. I don't know, man. Silver, black, white. Like, it's just such a plain jersey. Like, hey.
Yeah. I feel bad for the people who had to buy the jersey.
Enjoy your Nassib jerseys. We're not hating on him. We're hating on the actual Raiders jersey itself, the design. So, let's just put that in perspective there.
Absolutely.
Next story on the rundown. We have we touched on this before, and that was the MLB strip search that we have, and this one was one of those where. It's the first time I've seen that photo. That first photo. That was that was a close-up shot right there. Yeah. No. Hey, we get the best. We get the best content across the league. Now, just a heads up. We are in the process of implementing all of these rules, and Major League Baseball is pretty much cracking down on all of the foreign substances that are added to balls for pitchers. Whether that's from their hat, their glove, their wherever they have it on their person. And this has been kind of a big deal. We talked about this on a previous show about how this is going to work because obviously in this league so far this year, we've had a historic low when it comes to offense. Pitching has been just dominating everything across the board. And league wide, this is something that's needed, right? You don't watch baseball to just see strikeouts over and over and over and over. You want to see someone hit the ball. You want home runs. You want different things, which is why, all the emphasis has been put on to kind of crack down on spider tack, which is the industrial glue that's become a favorite among pitchers to generate more spin on the ball, increase the spin rate, manipulate where the ball is going, have control over their pitching, right? So this has been in talks, and we've already seen leading up to this. We mentioned on our last show that in the first 10 days, even before this was implemented, batting averages rose about 10 points, which, is crazy. So we're seeing this now. We're seeing highlights in ESPN of pitchers coming out and getting, grilled by the umpires, and you're seeing, taking off the hat, the glove, everything else. And you name it. It's a part of baseball right now. So that's where we're at. It's going to continue to happen. It's going to be curious to see how this affects the numbers again moving forward. So, Scotty, this is in full effect. People are getting checked.
Yeah. I mean, listen, a lot of people have come out the big couple players the big story was yesterday. Max Scherzer,
yep,
obviously a Cy Young winner for the Nationals, playing the Phillies last night. I don't know if Mayday is in the chat, but playing those Phillies, and Girardi had Scherzer checked, I believe, 3 times through the first 4 innings of the game. So I didn't really look at the rules and what there was, but apparently you can check them every inning if you want to at this point. I don't know. They might change that a little bit, but so there's a lot of people coming out like, oh, this is so bad for the game. This breaks it up. This oh, we're going to make these pitchers look like they're, these awful people that have been cheating for years. And I'm just like, how is this bad for the game? It's driving people to these are stories, and it's kind of funny. Scherzer gets annoyed, especially at the 3rd time. So he starts unbuckling his belt. He starts untucking his shirt. He's like, what do you want me to do? You can check my whole body if you want. Let's go. And it didn't end there. After the 5th inning, Scherzer walked off and basically just glared the whole time at Girardi. As he was walking off, didn't say anything, but Girardi comes out and starts wanting, he's like, let's go. He wants to pick a fight with Scherzer, and he gets tossed for it. Girardi gets tossed immediately for trying to start a fight with a player. I don't know how often I've seen a manager charge out of his dugout to start a fight with a player who's just eyeing him.
We're in a new game.
Girardi did it, and then later last night, the other pitcher, Sergio Romo, a relief pitcher, he gets question after an inning, and the umpire comes up, and he immediately, before the umpire is even up to him, throws his glove off, starts unbuckling his pants, drops his pants. So if you're watching baseball now and you have young children at home, just know that it's getting to be PG-13 range as far as the nudity factor on the baseball field. But I think it's funny. I think it's fine. Listen, as I talked about before, they need this rule. They need more base runners. They need less strikeouts. They need the ball in play. That needs to happen. I'm a guy who thinks they should change the ability to shift. I don't think you should have the shift rule. Shouldn't be a thing. You have to have 2 guys, in the infield left of second base and 2 guys to the right. I think that would help make baseball way more entertaining because people love offense. Listen, maybe they love a dominating pitching performance, but there's just too little offense right now. The numbers are down, the average is down, strikeouts are up, and that's just not good for the game. So they have to do something. This is a step. I think the shift rule would be a nice step to implement at some point, and I think it's headed there. And we'll see how it goes. But right now, I don't know. People are talking about this. So how is it bad for Major League Baseball?
No,
I don't think it's bad. The pitchers are pissed off, and that's fine. And the ironic thing is no one's dumb enough this early on to because you get suspended 10 games. So basically 2 starts if you're a starter, and 10 games if you're a relief pitcher, if found to have, an illegal substance on your hands. And this has been in less than a week in the rules. So no one's out there gonna press their limits in the first week of this. All right, I'm gonna do it. You can't miss 2 starts. I'm assuming that's without pay. No one's gonna do that.
No.
And it is changing. I saw Garrett Cole pitcher for the Yankees, had his lowest spin rate in his start the other day. On all his pitches, lowest spin rate since 2017 in any of his starts, and all 4 of his pitches. So there is a difference. I think it's going to help hitters. It's going to make this game better. So I'm all for it. Anything that's adding attention and like MLB's a little too clean at times and not fun enough. So this is, I mean, it's stupid, but it's fun to have these guys like search and then freak out and just to watch it. It's kind of entertaining to me.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, again, it's all about offense. I mean, you look at the NFL. We talked about this last time. NFL favors offense. It favors the receivers. It favors the quarterback. You know, when you go into other sports, I mean, look at the NBA. It's all about three-point shooting, offense.
And can't touch a guy in the NBA.
No, it's all about just hitting threes. Now, you know, that's kind of, I mean, you want to see more scoring. You want to see more action. And this is going to lend itself to that. So that's where we're heading in most sports, if not all sports. I mean, obviously you can only do so much with, like, you know, soccer and, you know, some of these others, hockey and this and that. But, yeah, that's kind of where things are at with this. So we're going to continue to see guys stripping down on the field. You know, what I just remember? We haven't talked a lot about strip clubs or stripping on our channel, on our stream in, like, a couple months, which is strange because when we first started streaming, I feel like every other show was about strip clubs and James Harden and Kyrie and whoever else was going. It's good to bring that back. It feels fresh. It feels good.
It feels nice. It does feel nice.
Man, I knew there was something we were missing from our channel.
Let's get some stripping back in this show. Not for me, but not for me. Nobody wants to see that. My 4-year-old son told me I'm fat yesterday for the first time, so I've not eaten since. It was hurtful.
My question to you is, how did that conversation come up with your son?
I'm trying to remember. We were at the dinner table, so I stopped eating, of course, after that. And all of a sudden he's talking, he was like, Mommy and me and Aubrey and Mason are all long and Daddy is fat. I'm like, what? Ooh. And of course my wife is cracking up, laughing. And I'm like, listen, buddy, you want to call me fat, that's fine. But just to be clear, you cannot call anyone else fat ever. He's like, why? We're like, because that's not such a nice word to use. And people would be upset with that. Like, I probably should have said, don't call me that either, because I'm just enabling him. But I don't actually care. Yeah, so when I say I don't care, I haven't eaten in 36 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
In your defense, though, the dad bod is in. It's all about the dad bod. Like, you know, I got a little pooch going on, you know, like you have to, you know, it's all about that, man. Like, all the girls are into the dad bod. Not that we're looking for girls by any means, but like, if you're out there and you're single and embrace it. Embrace the pudge, the dad bod. Like, hey,
I'm constantly looking for ads that describe needing a model that perfectly forms into the dad bod, and I'm like, because I'm it. I think I'm it.
I mean, you saw that were there some celebrities that were on the beach and they were like, oh man, dad bod is so good, like it's so hot, blah blah blah. By the way, Belly, going back full circle, y'all looking sexy is looking pretty good right now, right? I hope you're still here, Belly.
I happen to know Belly, and he does not have a dad bod. Far from it.
Yeah,
dude's ripped.
Yeah. But hey, coming from him, it means a lot, right? So we're good. The next story on the docket here is the NCAA, and the NCAA here has been in an interesting situation because, realistically, I got these all mixed up tonight. I'm sorry, guys. NCAA,
those are legs.
Big story this week. Supreme Court unanimously sides with former college players in dispute with the NCAA about compensation. Now, this is kind of a big deal because this has been a long-running issue for as long as I can remember. Now, the NCAA doesn't allow a lot of profiting, if not at all, for anybody who is in college athletics to profit off of their craft, because NCAA just kind of monopolizes that and just says, hey, video games, anything else, like we can make money off it and off your name, but we can't, you can't do anything. So you guys can just go off your scholarships, so on and so forth. There's just been a lot of back and forth with this about, should college athletes be paid? Should they not be paid? Is a college scholarship enough? Is the right to go to college for free enough? And all these different arguments back and forth. Well, the Supreme Court this week of the United States unanimously affirmed a ruling Monday that provides an incremental increase in how college athletes can be compensated, and also opens the door for future legal challenges that could deal a much more significant blow to the NCAA's current business model. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote the court's opinion, which upheld the district court judge's decision that the NCAA was violating antitrust law by placing limits on the education-related benefits that schools can provide to athletes. The decision allows schools to provide their athletes with an unlimited compensation as long as it is some way connected to their education. Brett Kavanaugh is also on there saying the NCAA is not above the law. That was kind of one of the big quotes that came out of this. And, there's just a lot here. The idea that college athletes should not be paid, a fundamental tenet of the 115-year-old NCAA, it's changing. Things are changing pretty quick on this front. And, this lawsuit is definitely changing things here. It's a tremendous win, 9-0 lead for the plaintiffs. Attorney Jeffrey Kessler is the one kind of leading this movement here for the athletes on this front. But man, Scotty, this is going a pretty interesting direction.
I mean, in my mind, this is great. Not only for the players, but I don't know if there's anyone out there that feels like the NCAA is a well-run organization. Like, they're a disaster. They're a train wreck. They don't know what they're doing. They're all about the money. They're just a terrible organization, unfortunately, which really, really affects the sporting outlook in a lot of universities. So, listen, this is great, and this decision itself doesn't change a ton. But what this decision does is it opens the door for so many other lawsuits to come through and so many other things to get brought up. So eventually, like, the NCAA is in a lot of trouble if they don't change their business model significantly. And I mean significantly. Like, they've run on this operation that they don't have to pay because of, all these different reasons, and it's not going to fly anymore. As you said, Brett Kavanaugh, who I think he's the one who basically broke down the decision. I think when they give a decision, one of the Supreme Court justices talks, and it was Brett Kavanaugh, and he basically, said they're not above the law. They're in a lot of trouble. There's many more, like, and you talked about it, 9-0, 9-0, all ruling on the same side of things. Which, how often do you see that? Like, I don't know with Supreme Court, but like, we live at least in a country where we're very, very divided, right? Everything's divided. No one, you can't find 9 random people and say like they're gonna agree. You certainly can't find, let's say, I don't know, 5 conservatives and 4 liberals and be like, hey, let's agree on something. Like, it doesn't happen. But that's how big of a misnomer the NCAA has had, thinking that they can get away with this. Like, it's wild. Now, the caveat with that is there's a lot of players now, as this changes things and as, more lawsuits come down, that think, hey, now it's open to me. I'm going to get paid. I think they're a little overinflating their value. A lot of players will overinflate their value and may not have a lot of value, if any at all. But they think they will, and they'll get tied up in that rather than working on their craft. So I'm worried about that a little bit in the product of, college athletics, in the sense that, like, people are out to get theirs and only not worried about the team mentality. And I think that'll hurt the game. But in the same time, like, hey, these guys own the rights to their name. They should get paid for it. Like, I think Jay Billis, said today, like, he used to commentate for the NCAA video game, basketball game that they had, March Madness, from EA. And he asked one day, because the coaches in those don't look, they're just random coaches. Like, it's not like when you're playing with Duke and they show the coach, it looks like Coach K. it's just a random guy that looks nothing like him. And he's like, hey, why don't the coaches look? Because the players in the game, although they don't have names at that time, all looked like the players that were on their rosters for those teams at that time.
Yep.
And EA, the video game basically just came back and said, they look like that, we got to pay the coaches. So it's just like it doesn't make any sense. They deserve to get paid on some of this. I hope that it doesn't, as I said, hurt the different sports and athletics with people just trying to get theirs and not having a team mentality and stuff like that. I hope it doesn't ruin it in that aspect, but this is the right decision. It needs to happen. It makes sense. Like, let's move on. The NCAA ceases to exist. That's fine with me. I'm also a little bitter because they're in a whole thing with Kansas basketball right now that's ridiculous in my mind. So I'm hoping this helps, like, them not, because they haven't like actually laid down the punishment for Kansas, although there shouldn't even be a punishment for Kansas. It's ridiculous. So we'll see what happens with all that. So maybe I'm tainted in that sense a little bit, but I've always thought the NCAA is just a garbage organization.
Well, we see NCAA, we see FIFA, we see UEFA, we see the United States Olympic Committee, or just Olympic, the Worldwide Olympic Committee. There are some very sketchy things going on, and I think this will leave it. I mean, if you're looking at like some comparisons into like, when you legalize marijuana, there's less marijuana related drug charges. When you have less money issues because players are getting compensated, you don't have players getting paid under the table anymore. They're getting paid by their merit, which takes away some of those issues of, hey, like, you're not supposed to be getting paid. I need to figure out a way to eat or put food on the table because I'm a broke college student. And if I'm getting paid, I don't need some booster or somebody to pay me under the table to get through or to, like, recruit me one way or another. I'm going to get paid on my merit, on sponsorships or whatever, on my name. Because, like, there was a gymnast I think she's a super famous, super attractive woman, I believe it's one of those SEC schools, that she has a following of 1 or 2 million followers on Instagram and whatever. She can't profit anything off of her own Instagram while she's playing college sports, which is part of the loopholes of all of these NCAA policies and things that are so. Like, if I'm a kid, I'm like, I mean, I've grown my own following on my own merit, on my own platform, whatever. Why can't I, like, make money off of that while I'm being an athlete? It's garbage. It doesn't make any sense. So this is huge. This is big for NCAA athletes to be able to, make a name for themselves and make some money in the process. And if they don't end up making a college career or a professional career, at least they have something to fall back on, or they have their education, or they have some money to get going with something else. So I think this is great. I think this is a good move, and NCAA should be very, very worried at this point. But next, we had something yesterday. Honestly, it's been kind of a whirlwind for me, and I haven't really been able to keep up with a lot of things, but we had the NBA lottery yesterday, and usually I'm like all over this because the Nuggets are typically in on this year after year, but it's been a while since I've had to, be a part of this anymore. It's kind of nice. I'm not going to lie. I used to be like, oh man, are we going to get the number 1 pick? Are we going to get the number 2 pick? What are we going to get? Do we have a chance at the, top 3 pick and who's available? Honestly, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about that because we have like an established team now, but there are other teams that still go through this, that still need to get into the mix when it comes to getting a top pick, and we have that field set, Scotty. We have the Detroit Pistons won the NBA draft lottery, 2021 draft lottery here that will be held on Thursday, July 29th, the NBA draft, and they will be followed up by this order here. Detroit number 1, Houston number 2, Cleveland, Toronto, Orlando 5, Oklahoma City 6, Golden State from Minnesota 7, Orlando from Chicago at 8, Sacramento, New Orleans, San Antonio, Indiana, and Golden State. So a couple of things pop up to me here. And one of them, hey, Golden State's reloading, right? They have 2 picks in the top 14. Not bad. Not bad. Detroit gets that number 1 overall pick. I don't know if that's going to really help too much for their roster because they're just kind of all over.
They have Jeremy Grant and Mason Plumlee. They're going to be just fine.
They need more help than just the number 1 pick. So there's that. So just based off of just the order. We're not diving into mock drafts yet. Which team do you think in this top 14 can help themselves the most in this year's draft?
That's a good question. I wasn't even ready for that question.
I know. I just kind of
help themselves the most.
I just kind of threw that out there because. All right, fine. Let's do this.
I think there's a consensus top 5, and then I think there's a second level to 9, and then it kind of drops off. And I think actually having a pick in between 10 and 20 in next year's draft isn't great because different teams will value from 10 to like 30 is pretty even on that player scale. So having a higher pick is just valuing position of need maybe for you or this or that. It's not that much better than a pick at the end of the first round. But there seems to be certainly a consensus top 5. So maybe, as you talked about Golden State, who's maybe an upper echelon team, going to get Klay Thompson back, we think. I mean, unless he somehow hurts himself again in the offseason.
Yeah.
But so maybe they could pair. For me, I would do everything I can to pair that 7 and 14 to try and get in those first few picks. That's what I would do if I was Golden State. I don't know if those teams in the first few picks will want to do that. Detroit's. It sounds like Cade Cunningham's the top prospect, which is kind of news to me because when I looked back during like March Madness, there was some debate between him and a couple other guys on who that top prospect would be. And now all of a sudden, Cade Cunningham hasn't played a game, and universally he's seen as the next Grant Hill. So for Detroit. And we'll see if that's the case. He'll probably be the number 1 pick. That's probably true. The biggest loser, though, is like Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City could have had 2 top 5 picks in this draft, and instead they just have their own at 6. So they had Houston's pick, but I think it was top 3 protected.
Yep.
And then Houston ended up with the number 2 pick in a lottery. So that Houston gets to keep that. Oklahoma City, it moves on to next year, but Oklahoma City doesn't get that pick. I think they had like a 50% chance of getting that pick and then a 50% chance of being in the top 5 picks themselves, and they didn't land on either. They have the number 6 pick. So listen, we've talked about them and how many picks they have moving forward, but it would have been real nice for them if they could have, maybe the number 2 and 4 pick. Like that would have been a lot of ammo to use this year, especially with all the picks they have moving forward and getting 2 of those dynamic players. It seems like there's pretty much a consensus top 5 with Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley from USC, Jalen Suggs from your Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Go Zags.
Jalen Green, who went to the G League last year, and then Jonathan Kuminga, who's a little lesser known. But those seem to be the top 5 guys, and I haven't seen Jalen Green. I'm not as sold on Evan Mobley. He's a big and he's athletic and long, but we'll get into a lot of that later. But I saw the clip of Jalen Rose. He's from Detroit, from Michigan area. He was in the like private bar area at Phoenix Suns Arena when the lottery went down, and he went crazy in the bar. He was like hyped as hell and going around and like so excited they got the number 1 pick. So, Detroit needs a lot of help. So getting a number 1 pick certainly helps them. So the lottery is always interesting and is good. I think it's good for the sport. I think other sports should do it too. I think it helps prevent people from just automatically
it's not a guarantee
selling out their souls for the season. It's not a guarantee. I think the NFL should do it. Major League Baseball, is more of a crapshoot with a draft anyway, so maybe you don't have to, but I think the NFL should do a lottery.
Yeah, no, and we were looking through some of these. I just you mentioned a couple names here in the top. You're on point with those top 5. I've seen those guys in the top 5 of a couple mock drafts here. especially with Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, top 1 and 2. Honestly, Cade Cunningham, I thought, I don't know, for some reason I didn't think he was. We'll go into this again in depth when we get closer to the draft, and we'll do another draft special like we did. If you missed it, we did a massive NFL draft special, had a blast doing it. Did extra long stream. It was fantastic. We're going to do the same thing for the NBA, I think, coming up. So that'll be absolutely incredible. But we're still a little bit of ways away, July 29th. So we'll get there. But it's going to be coming up fast. So make sure you mark your calendars. But Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Evan Mobley. But we have a couple, international guys. Jonathan Kuminga out of the Congo. You have what was it? There was another one. Josh Giddey out of Australia. He's projected in the top 10 or 11. We got a lot of guys. Davian Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell's kind of like bizarro, same numbers. D. Mitchell out of Baylor, who ended up winning the national title with them. He's projected to go 7th to Golden State, which is a point guard to go with Steph Curry. Kind of an interesting. Maybe they move him to the 2. I don't know if he's going to be, that's going to be a good fit for them there. But it's going to be interesting to see where everyone else hangs up. But there's a couple names that I was looking in this mock draft that kind of dropped a little bit. I mean, you had, Stanford, Zaire Williams dropping to OKC in a couple mock drafts. There were a couple others. Corey Kispert, which we didn't he's a Zag as well. Kind of like, I don't think he's necessarily going to be like an incredible NBA player by any means. Projected to go, somewhere in the late first round. Some people have him going to the Lakers. Some people have him going to a couple other spots. I've
seen a couple that have him in the lottery.
Really? Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Which I agree with you. I wouldn't take him.
I would
not love that choice.
I don't know if I'd take him that high.
Yeah.
I always look to see where my Nuggets are picking, and that's always an interesting one. And one by CBS Sports has their mock draft. This is early, so just take this with a grain of salt. Jaden Springer out of Tennessee, freshman, 6'4", 204 pounds. 3-point percentage, 43%. Not a bad player, averaged 12.5 at Tennessee. Tennessee had a great team. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, there's some interesting names going in and out of this first round that actually there's a couple guys that I was surprised didn't actually make it into this first round mock draft of some of these lists. And it had to do with, what was the kid out of UCLA?
I mean, no one wants a guy that's a senior. So if you're old like that, like the NBA, and it's kind of been backed up, like,
I don't know,
guys that produce at a high level as a senior often don't produce when they make it to the league because they're just older than all these guys. I agree. Like he played great. I'm trying to think of his name too, but he's not. I don't think he's seen as a first round guy. The mock draft I'm looking at just on ESPN has Nugs taking. I hate this guy's name. Ayo Dosunmu from Illinois, which I like. They have him as like a 3-and-D type guy, which I think is right up the alley of probably the biggest need for the Nuggets is having a 3-and-D type guy that can kind of be elite. So I like that fit. They say he can, and I know he played really well at Illinois, who was one of the best teams in the country last year, and he was their best player. So
Johnny Juzang, by the way, UCLA.
Yeah, Juzang. I'm going to be honest. I don't value him as an NBA player.
I thought he made a name for himself in the tournament. Now, yeah, you're kind of right there.
He doesn't have the athletic profile to me to make it as a productive NBA guy. He would be maybe like a 8th guy off the bench for your team. I don't see it.
And I'm sorry Belly left, but we had I see some mock drafts have his boy Chris Duarte out of Oregon popping up here in the middle middle round range of the first round. So that could be an interesting one. He was dynamic in the tournament and even over the course of the regular season as well. So, yeah, we'll get into a lot of these guys over the course of the next couple weeks as we gear up. Maybe we do, Scotty, maybe we do the same thing we did last time, and then we just break down the best point guards, best shooting guards. Maybe we don't do like top 5. Maybe we do like top 3 each because, I mean, obviously the NBA draft is a lot smaller than the NFL draft. So maybe we kind of break those down and see who can potentially get some of these impact players initially. Because here's the thing with the NBA draft. I mean, outside of the first round, it's kind of hit and miss. So if you're getting in the top, 20 picks, there are some interesting cases that can be made for certain guys that are being taken in that first round. And it's very, very tight when there's not as many picks, there's not as many players coming into the league, there's not as many you better make a right decision. It's not like people are going to make that Jokic choice at the last 42nd pick of the draft. Those don't pan out very often, and they never pan out to be MVPs. So you got to even the top picks don't even end up going. You see that with Ben Simmons. Oh, wait, Ben Simmons. That's our next. That's our next topic here.
Was he a top 5 pick? I'm kidding. He was 1.
Ben Simmons was one of the top picks, and he was meant to be one of the greatest of all time. Ben Simmons, and now he's trash. He's absolutely trash, and this isn't a new revelation. This isn't a new revelation. It's so funny what comes out of the woodwork once you dive into these stories. There are people that were like, I saw a clip of Chauncey Billups saying that Ben Simmons wouldn't have been his top pick. He would have gone with old boy out of who got traded from the Lakers over to the Pelicans. What's his name out of Duke?
Oh. Yeah. No, I know exactly who you're talking about.
I don't know why. I'm tripping on the name here. But
had a great year this year.
Oh, I mean, he's next to Zion. Those are the pillars of that team.
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. No. Chauncey Billups said during this draft, he was like, I wouldn't take Ben Simmons first. I would take Brandon Ingram first in this draft based off of what he can do. So like some of these videos are resurfacing, and man. So, in case you don't know, Ben Simmons was supposed to be the next LeBron James coming out of LSU. He was absolutely one of the more stunning players. Now, he had issues with his jump shot, and they were like, oh, once he gets that locked in, he'll be in good shape. Well, he never necessarily got that locked in. So, he ended up just burning out of this season. Absolutely terrible. So, in this last series that they got, the 76ers got eliminated from the Atlanta Hawks. By the way, if you're not looking at if you're watching the stream, you can see that we have an insanely tight game, 105-103. This has gone back and forth quite a bit, Scotty. So we're gonna keep an eye on that, keep tabs on this game. But man,
there's still 3:16 left, so we got another 45-50 minutes of the game. So,
I mean, let's see. It looks like our score just updated on our screen here, 301, 107, 103. So, yeah, we're coming down the stretch here. So, we'll keep – obviously, you can see that keep updating as we are going through. But the Hawks end up beating the 76ers. Now, in this series, Joel Embiid is the number 1 player. And Ben Simmons is the number 2, which he should be the number 1. But he was a number 1 overall pick, high expectations. Ended up finishing 15 for 45 on foul shots against Atlanta, and 34.2 from the line for the 2021 playoffs overall, accounting for the worst free throw percentage in NBA playoff history for a player with at least 70 attempts, according to research by ESPN Stats and Information. He's been absolutely horrendous. And he, by the way, that's not even the worst part of it. He failed to take a shot in some of these quarters, in the fourth quarters down the stretch of these games, and he was just terrified to shoot. Can you name, Scotty, and I think I asked you this question last time, can you name another player who's either the number 1 or number 2 on a team that has melted down and just disintegrated so fast from being a number 1 pick? I mean, I can't think of a single one. This is unprecedented. Like,
well, here's a guy at least that's shown promise, because there's other number 1 picks that have fizzled out without ever doing anything. Kwame Brown,
True.
There's different guys, that never did anything. And, obviously Ben Simmons has been, throughout the regular season for a couple seasons, option 2 and the second best player on Philadelphia. He's a great defender. I know, like, let's settle down. But
Kwame also,
I can't explain, it's just, and man, you really are passionate about missed free throws, because you are portraying this guy as the worst player in the NBA, and I think that's probably a stretch. He had a terrible series. He lost confidence. He was afraid to shoot. He had completely fizzled out. Like, his mental capacity in this series was gone. When you're sitting there alone in the world shooting free throws and you can never make them, like, that will play with your mental capacity to want to make plays. Like, he passed up, and it's been talked about a lot on different things, like a dunk in the fourth quarter, like, and he handed off to a guy who ended up getting fouled and making 1 or 2 free throws. But, like, I've seen Joel Embiid's reaction to that play. Like,
he had a quote.
He was at the 3-point line.
Yep.
And he was just like, like, shaking his head, like, what are you doing? Like, listen, he's got a lot of work to do. Of course, in the offseason last year, they were talking about it. Like, they were showing clips of him making threes and, like, working on his outside shot as if that was going to be featured. Even, oh my gosh, the Phillies were playing somebody today, and or maybe it was yesterday, and Schwarber, I forget who he plays for now, but Kyle Schwarber hit a 3-run bomb to tie up the game, or maybe he plays for Philly. Anyway, it was like they said it was like 3-pointers to tie up a game in late in the game. It was like Kyle Schwarber 1, Ben Simmons 0, and it was just taking shot, like an MLB account. It was the MLB Twitter account for this team was just taking shots at Ben Simmons. So he had an awful series. Do I think he's like a waste of space and should just, like, is garbage moving forward? I'm not giving up yet. He has a lot of good traits to him. He has to figure out that shot for sure. So I don't know if that's possible. Do you have all right? So they need to move on. They need to break up this marriage. Embiid, Simmons doesn't work. Where do you see a fit for a move where Ben Simmons goes and what maybe Philly can get in return for him?
Honestly, the only team that I've kind of seen, I mean, obviously Stephen A. Smith came out and said he would be a good fit with the Portland Trail Blazers. Obviously there's going to be some teams that are going to be coming out in the mix with, somebody who needs somebody who can handle the ball and kind of control the pace of the game. I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it because we have some free agency news we're going to be covering here in upcoming shows, and maybe kind of who's available, and those lists are starting to come out, and trade options. Because there's some trade options here too. With I'm getting off topic here, but Kemba Walker obviously was in the mix with some trades, and I think Orlando and some of these other teams are going to be making moves. But I've seen more reports and people coming out trying to link Ben Simmons to like a Portland or something along those lines. So I don't know. I think it's going to take some time to kind of pan out what that's going to look like. My big issue with Ben Simmons, and you mentioned all right, I have a big thing about free throws and a big thing about, you got to make a jump shot, man. You got to be able to be confident. You got to be able to, and so that's one thing. But when coming out of college that you don't have a jump shot, and you've been in the league as long as you have, and your coaching staff has been trying to work with you on this, the fact that you're not able to progress forward worries me. Like, You have the best coaches and the best, in the entire world, in the best league in the world. I don't see him putting in the work and the effort in the offseason. Kobe Bryant had that Mamba mentality. And there was actually another quote that came out in the media this last week of somebody asking him, late Kobe Bryant, who's a legend, what do you think about Ben Simmons? And he was like, he would be great if he had a jump shot. He's got to have the work ethic. And this was a couple years ago, before obviously Kobe passed away. He was talking about how he needed to get the work ethic to jump in and be a better jump shooter. And then if that's the case, man, look out, this kid could be special. Has he done anything to improve that? No. Now he is getting just ridiculed out of this. Philadelphia fans hate him right now. All of the reaction out of this was ridiculous, and nobody wanted him back. And so that's kind of where we're at with this. And I don't trust his work ethic. I don't think he's going to put in the work. Maybe like people calling him out, maybe this is the wake-up call. Like everyone and their mother is reaching out and saying like, you're garbage, you can't shoot, you faded, you're scared. All of these narratives, if this doesn't wake him up, nothing will. This is a wake-up call for him. So I think the next 2 years are going to be huge in what you see out of him. If you don't see any improvement across the board from his free throws, jump shooting, everything, like the free throws are a minuscule thing, but those can be practiced and those can be worked on. So it's like it's a work ethic aspect of putting in extra time in the gym, shooting damn free throws, right? It doesn't. You got Kardashians in the side. You got all these different focuses. You think you're all bad and you're not. Whatever. All right. Put your money where your mouth is. Put all your time and energy into basketball, if that's your passion, and get better. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, you hope he was completely embarrassed this postseason and put on a spot where like he's gonna spend his life in a gym shooting free throws, shooting from outside the paint, and learning how to make those shots. But I'm not gonna give up on him as a player yet because he still has a lot of really, really good traits to him outside of his passive shooting ability and his inability to make free throws, which is mind-numbing. But you talked about Brandon Ingram and how Chauncey would have taken him. I'm not sure. Is Brandon Ingram better than Ben Simmons? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't. Brandon Ingram had a good season. First of all, finally put up a really solid season this year. But he also took a lot of that was usage rate and taking a lot of shots. He didn't shoot a super high percentage. He's not a creator off the dribble. He's not going to be someone that's going to get a ton of assists. Ben Simmons averaged like 8+, almost 9 assists a game. I think, Ingram's closer to 4. Ingram doesn't rebound the ball like Simmons. So there's some traits there. He's not as good a defender. I think Ingram's like a above average wing. If he's so good and he's playing with Zion Williamson, why didn't they make the playoffs in New Orleans? They have a pretty good roster with him and Zion and Lonzo Ball and Steven Adams. If Brandon Ingram's really that good, they should have made the postseason. I don't think he's that good. That doesn't mean I think Ben Simmons is first of all, he's got to leave Philadelphia. Embiid might shoot him if he's in Philadelphia next year, with a gun. That might happen. It's not going to work. Regardless, you got to move on from it. And he's got to work on his craft. Of course, Doc Rivers comes out and says, we have a plan for this or that. But
yep.
No, that's just talk. If you're the GM of the Sixers, you have to move Ben Simmons, even though you're selling low right now, because people aren't valuing anything about his game right now after the awful postseason series he just had against Atlanta. But hey, Atlanta's up one. Speaking of missed free throws, maybe not. I've missed some of this, but we got a 114-113 game. I have it on my iPad here, and Atlanta's got the ball. So with 5 seconds to go, Atlanta might steal game 1 here in a series that, I would have predicted maybe 5 or 6 games for Milwaukee, which it still could be, but Atlanta is gonna potentially steal game 1 here. And Trae Young has 46 points, so that's okay.
That's ridiculous. And Trae Young is definitely coming out. This is coming out party for sure. This playoffs has been absolutely insane for Trae Young. He's come a long way. This is his first playoff appearance, right? He started out in New York, getting booed and getting chanted at and taking the criticism. Then he goes over and wins a second series and, puts the 76ers to sleep. And he didn't necessarily have an incredible game, to close out that series, but he's still the leader of that team. He's still the one that makes everything go, and he's doing that tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks in this opening game. And again, coming down to the wire, 114-113 with 4.6 seconds. At least that's what we have on our scoreboard right now. So, man, this could be an interesting series. The more and more, since we've talked about this series previously, Scotty, you mentioned that, I thought maybe it would go 5 games or whatever. The more and more I thought about it leading up to this stream tonight, and the more commentary, the more I looked into it, the more I was thinking about it, the more I was like, man, I don't know. The Hawks could win a couple games here, 2 or 3 games easily, based off of the fact that, I don't know, man. They're just getting hot at the right time. Trae Young is playing well. The entire team, the coaching has been fantastic from Atlanta's standpoint, making adjustments when needed. So, I don't know, man. This is going to be maybe a little bit longer series than I would have anticipated. I think maybe it goes 6, maybe 7 games, but it's going to be a tight series, and you wouldn't expect that from a number 5 seed Atlanta in the East competing with a number 3 seed who was potentially one of the favorites preseason to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I personally think the 2 best teams left are on the other side,
and I'll be right
in
back.
the West. But this is the one. If Atlanta is going to steal a game, like this is the one. Milwaukee just got done with a long series against obviously the Nets in a game 7 that went to overtime. So they're not well rested. They're tired from that. This is the game. Maybe Atlanta could steal. Like obviously the Bucks haven't played a great defensive performance right now. Trae Young just hit 2 free throws to get to 48 points, and Hawks lead by 3 with 4.6 seconds to go. We're in a timeout situation, so at this point, you probably have to draw up a 3 right here. So Milwaukee has a chance to tie it up. We'll see what happens, but otherwise, Atlanta steals game 1, and that makes this series a lot more interesting as far as from a competitive nature. I talked about on the Sunday show. Milwaukee was the odds-on favorite at that time, heavy favorite even to win the whole thing at this point with the 4 teams left, and I disagree with that. I thought Phoenix, to me, was definitely the best pick as far as picking a team to win it all. I thought Phoenix should be the favorite. Milwaukee was the favorite in Vegas, and now, not to say that if Milwaukee loses this game, they can't win the series, because of course they can and likely will. But here we are, and my YouTube TV, of course, is not cut up, but my ESPN page has 0.0 and into 4th
in the books
on the clock, and Atlanta takes game 1 in Milwaukee, 116-113.
Wow. Yeah, let's dive into this one a little bit. You heard it here live. We have a live ending right here, and we have some interesting things to look at here. Now, again, Trae Young coming out of this game with 48 points, shooting 17-34 from the field, 4 of 13 from 3. So, obviously Trae Young hasn't exactly been, lights out from 3. He's not Steph Curry from 3, obviously. He has got killer range and everything else, but 4 of 13, so not superhuman from there. 11 assists, still getting everyone involved. Look at this. Let's see here. We got. You got some big performances here from Capella, 19 rebounds, 12 points. Then Collins, 23 points, 15 rebounds. So, I mean, you got some big performances from those guys. On the other end,
Hans was a beast.
yeah, he was unbelievable tonight. I had a couple prop bets that I was thinking about putting on him, but I didn't end up pulling the trigger. I wanted to see how this played out first. So maybe in the next couple of games, I'll throw some little prop bets out there. But Giannis on the other end, 34 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist short of the triple-double with 9 assists. Middleton had a average game, 15 points, 0 for 9, 0 for 9 from 3. So
6 of 23 from the field.
Oh yeah. I just actually pulled that up and saw that part. Yeah. So he's not going to do that every single game.
And to be clear, I just watched the play they drew up, and the play they drew up down 3 was a play for Chris Middleton to take another 3, although he was 0 of 8 from 3 at that time.
He's not the
and
guy.
6 of 22 from the field. He's normally the guy. Giannis isn't the guy from 3. Maybe Holiday, who made 5 threes tonight, 5 of 12, 14 of 26 from the field, 33 points, might have been a better option. Honestly, Middleton got a decent look. It wasn't an easy look, but it was a decent look, and he missed it. And he'll be better. Like, 0 of 9 though. Like, listen, I know you got to go with who brought you here and who your best shooter is, but when a guy's missed all 8 3-point attempts he's taken in a game, maybe don't draw up the final play when you're down 3 for him. I'm just saying.
No, he doesn't have the hot hand. I mean, obviously, you look at this shooting tonight. Drew Holiday was the only thing that could really get anything going from 3. He was 5 of 12 for 33 points, 5 of 12 from 3-point, 14 of 26. So he took a bunch of shots. I was curious to see who they would bring off the bench. I had a feeling they would go lean on Bobby Portis a little bit more just to get a little more size with Giannis and try to balance out some just of what the Capella Collins can throw at you, but he only got 11 minutes, I believe. Oh, no, 15 minutes. I'm sorry. 11 points, 8 rebounds. So he had a decent game off the bench. But, man, 3-point shooting was where this really 22.9% from 3, 8 for 36 total. Again, Drew Holiday was the only one that really could get anything going. Now, again, the Hawks didn't shoot much better. They shot 8 for 32 from 3. So they didn't do well either. Herder 1 for 6. Bogdanovich, who should be lighting it up a little bit more than he is, 0 for 2.
I think he's hurt.
He must be. 4 points. Didn't play very well across the board. Maybe there's some injury issues going on there. But so from that, just looking at the box score, there's room for improvement on both of these teams. Now, I think looking just strictly at the box score, because we didn't watch this game directly all the way through, I think Milwaukee still looks like, based off of how poorly they kind of came out. PJ Tucker only had 4 points. Middleton's not going to play that bad in 41 minutes again. I just think Brook Lopez will probably pick up his game a little bit more, but there's some matchup issues there. We'll see. But I think Milwaukee. I think it's gonna be a back and forth series, man.
Yeah, this opens up a lot. Atlanta, 41-31 on the season, and a terrible road team. They were a terrible road team this year, and a really good home team, especially down the stretch. So they've stolen one now, and so now game 2 obviously is huge for Milwaukee. Huge for Atlanta too. If they can get up 2-0, then we're really, really talking about an Atlanta team where I think most of the casual NBA fan can only name one player on that team, and Trae Young being in the NBA Finals. So never thought I'd see that day, and I don't know what the odds were for Atlanta making the NBA Finals, and they still easily couldn't, but I'm sure that would pay out real, real well, because as the 5 seed, they have not had a home court throughout. They were the underdog in every series, and here they are, up 1-0 in the East Finals. Long way to go. This one was a back and forth, could have gone either way, but they're gonna be here, and I'm maybe now after this one, I'm starting to believe in them a little bit, which means they'll probably lose in 5. Because I've doubted them throughout. We talked about the Philly series. I mean, them beating the Knicks to me was not a big deal. I didn't know that the Knicks were that talented a team. They were just a team that played really, really hard in the regular season, and once other teams played hard, they were kind of flawed. But here we are.
So
beat Philadelphia, the 1 seed, beat Milwaukee in game 1. So away we go with Atlanta being a potential option to play in the NBA Finals. It's weird to say.
It's weird to say, and can you imagine? We talked about this a little bit ago of the Atlanta Hawks potentially playing against like a Phoenix Suns, and what kind of ratings those would draw for people watching the NBA Finals. It would be absolutely brutal for the NBA and Adam Silver, but we got to get there first. But the Hawks, by the way, I got this little update earlier on. I'm sure you did too, about continue to get some more money bet on them as they keep making progress based off of their long shot odds. And in May, when people were putting a little bit more emphasis into betting on them a little bit, they were 100-1 long shots, and have continued their playoff run to get a little bit better and better. And on May 4th, may the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with the Hawks for this particular bettor. A bettor in our home state of Colorado placed 2 $20,000 bets on the Hawks with DraftKings. One on 100-1 to win the NBA title, another on 40-1 to win the NBA title. Eastern Conference, the bets would pay a net $2 million and $800,000 respectively. So, hey, if you're that better, you're loving this. you're sweating right now, and I don't even know what the cash out value on that is, because there's sometimes these sites offer cash out values where you can just take your money and run. Now, obviously, if you have the money to bet $20,000 twice, $40,000 total on the Atlanta Hawks, hey, you got some expendable cash to throw around there. Right now, currently, the Hawks are 11-1 to win the title. 11-1. So you missed out on your value. You still got a little bit of value, but you missed out on that big value early on. If people, you missed out on May in getting in on this early. So, I mean, I would never have done that, but hey, if you got $40,000 to burn, hey man, you do you.
Good luck, sir. Good luck.
Can you imagine if we put $20,000 twice? That's got to be a single guy. That can't be a married man. There's no way, unless he's like a whale or something.
Yeah, he either has made all the money and can do what he wants, or he's single. Because I would be single as well if I bet that. Maybe not at the time, but afterward.
Especially on the Hawks.
Yeah.
Of all the teams. So, hey, you never know what is going to happen with that. But that's good luck to that guy. I mean, we're going to be revisiting this stream eventually. Should the Hawks win, and he wins $2.8 million off of his bets.
Well, listen, he's probably, at this point, he's making a lot of money, because I'm going to assume he's going to hedge. He's got to hedge, right? When that much money is at stake, you got to hedge.
It's a smart thing to do when you have that kind of cheddar on the line. Oh, yeah.
He's going to make a lot of money on this.
You get those odds, man. I tried to get the Nuggets odds early on, and I was only able to get plus 800 or something was the max. I was like, okay, this isn't, it's not. Or no, it was plus 80. I don't know what I got. It was something weird. But, man. So, we both see this series going a little longer, though. I think that's pretty established. I think this is a series that I initially thought was going to be a lot closer when the Hawks first won and beat the Sixers.
Hawks in 4.
Hawks in 4. Where's Phoenix Suns in 4 guy? Suns in 4 guy. We need to get him on here and get his Maybe we get him as a special guest, see if he can come in. By the way, I feel like we've been ignoring chat a little bit. Deb and chat. So when we were talking about Ben Simmons, you're in the playoffs. Should have been wake up call to perform, and he didn't. He's a problem. Yeah. Ben Simmons. We don't even have Mayday in to chime in here because I think, we got a little bit of his commentary when they lost that other night. By the way, he's a guy that watches the stream religiously and is all about the Philadelphia 76ers, Phillies, Eagles, so on and so forth. So it would be interesting to get a little bit more of his thoughts after he's had some time to cool off and see, how things have settled in the state of Pennsylvania there. We'll I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this is gonna be an interesting series. The other series we have on the other half had a game yesterday. Now, this game was an insane game. I want to touch on this because this game, there was a lot with this one, right? You had a return of Pandemic P. Paul George, just absolutely. Just when you think he's getting on track, just when you think, okay, he's had a couple decent playoff series where he's been able to carry without Kawhi Leonard. He's been the go-to guy. He's trying to put the team on his back. You see the effort. You see him trying. And then Pandemic P raises his ugly head once again. And you mentioned this earlier in the stream, kind of hinted at it, that he was doing some really good things to get him to a certain point where they can compete in this game one. And then free throws to ice the game. Clanks 2 straight. And you're right back to how clutch can this guy really be?
Yeah. I have a lot of... Listen, I did not see... It seems like the Suns were up throughout, but not... It was close throughout. They weren't up by 20, 15, anything like that. It seemed to be single digits throughout, but the Suns were always leading. They were up 3 after the first. They were up 1 at half, and they were up 4 going to the fourth quarter. So it was always close. And all of a sudden, that fourth quarter, they stretched it at the initial spot. But I didn't watch a ton of this until the end of the fourth quarter. And little did I know that meant an hour and a half of basketball in front of me. I say that in jest, but I actually saw something on Twitter. The last, I'll let you guess this. The last 90 seconds of game clock in this game. How many minutes in real time did it actually take? For the last 90 seconds of the game.
Well, Deb in chat, it was a fun game to watch, with the exception of the craziness at the end. She texted me and called me because we had a little dinner party going on at the house. So we were out on the back patio. I don't have TVs out there yet. I haven't built out my cantina yet.
What are you doing?
And so,
what are you even doing without TVs out there?
Oh my gosh, it's rough. I'm not like Scotty over here. But we were out there, just hanging out. I get a call from Deb coming in and saying, "Hey, are you watching this game?" So I tuned it in, and I feel like it lasted forever. So to answer your question, I mean, I was able to tune in just in time for watching the last 20 minutes of I don't know. The last night, I would say 25 minutes.
The answer is 33 minutes. The last 90 seconds of the game took 33 minutes. And I'll tell you why. Let me break this all down. We had a back and forth game. There were some free throws, but it just went to shit with, 5, or actually the first ridiculous thing, replay is listen, I get why they want to have it, but replay was a disaster in this game. It affected the game monumentally, going both ways.
Officiating was huge.
Actually, George hit a jumper from around the elbow to give the Clippers a lead by 1 with under a minute to go. And the Suns came back down, and Booker had the ball. Beverly knocked the ball, swiped at the ball, knocked it out of bounds. They called it Suns ball, went to review, took forever on review, and listen, when you break this is not what replay is supposed to do in my opinion. This play, in 58 minutes of the game is a no-brainer. It's Suns ball. But in this instance, what happened was Beverly swiped at the ball, and it hit simultaneously with Booker's hand as he swiped up a little bit, and it probably did go off Booker. But every other, if there's no replay there, it was clear that Beverly just swiped at it, and it should be Phoenix ball. So in my mind, that's a problem. When you have 58 minutes officiated one way, and the last 2 you're going to officiate it differently because you have replay, and you're just literally looking at who touched it last. I get why you have to call it that way. Even on the broadcast, Jeff Van Gundy, who's great, by the way. I love JVG.
He's great. I love him too. He's fantastic.
He's saying, like, that's not the heart of the rule. Like, listen, this is, and he touched on it, like, yes, I get why they called it that way, but that it just doesn't make sense. Like, to have that happen, because in 58 minutes, that's a clear swipe out. I bet if they reviewed calls throughout the game, they would change out of bounds calls all the time, because yeah, it may have touched the offensive player as well as it was going out of bounds, but who was knocking it out of bounds? It was the defender. So I hated that call, even though I get why they had to make it, because it did in fact probably touch Booker last. Hated that call. Then, karma's a bitch. Karma is a bitch. George gets fouled, up 1, goes to the line, misses the 2 free throws.
Man.
Love to see it. And then the Suns draw up a play, and it's a good play. Gives Bridges a good look from 3 in the corner that he misses. Goes out of bounds. They call it Suns ball. Of course, they go to review. Got to review it, right?
Took
which
forever to review.
And now's where it's a huge advantage for the Suns, because now the Suns can draw up an out of bounds play, where otherwise they wouldn't be able to. They didn't have timeouts to do it. So now you're giving the Suns an advantage. They can go talk to their coach, draw up this out of bounds play, and while they're reviewing. So now that's when one thing cost the Suns, this one helped the Suns. Suns drew up an out of bounds play, threw an alley-oop. An amazing pass from Jay Crowder from the out of bounds corner right to, and I love that the announcers had it right on, because one official wanted to call it goaltending, and the announcers were like, there is no goaltending on an out of bounds play.
Doesn't happen.
That's a ball that is live. Like, it's not like you can shoot and score from out of bounds. So there's no such thing as goaltending. So the fact that it hadn't hit the rim yet, so the fact that he grabbed it above the cylinder does not matter. He dunked it down. DeAndre Ayton did. It was a fantastic play. Everyone knew. I knew that's what was coming. I feel like everyone should have known that was coming. DeMarcus Cousins, who was on the inbounder, didn't apparently know it was coming, because he wasn't guarding the hoop at all. He was kind of just straight out, like, guarding it in case they threw it to the outside. It was super weird. Great play, great call. But of course, then they go to that play. The out of bounds was at 0.9. They review that whole play for about an hour and a half, maybe as long as I'm talking now and getting everyone bored. But I'm really frustrated with how this. I mean, I'm excited about how the game ended, but I'm frustrated at how long it took.
It was ridiculous, man.
And then they finally figured out, like, all right, they said 0.7 seconds left, which also doesn't make sense, because the rule is there's at least 0.3 of a second that has to come off when someone grabs the ball. And DeAndre Ayton didn't tip the ball in. He grabbed the ball and dunked it down. So at the minimum, there should have been 0.6 seconds, but whatever. That doesn't matter. But then, of course, Ty Lue, the coach for the Clippers, tries to make substitutions on a review play, which, of course, you can't do. Took him another, 20 minutes to figure out who was supposed to be on the court for the Clippers. And then they ran this, garbage last play where Paul George caught it and shot it after the buzzer, so it didn't even matter. But 33 minutes for the last 90 seconds is a problem. This was a super fun game to watch on the stretch, and an exciting finish that was somewhat just negated and ruined by the refs just sitting there figuring things out. So
yeah,
I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what you should do, because I agree you want to get the out of bounds calls right, or everything right in the last couple minutes when it's a tight game like that. But it also is just exhausting to sit there and watch, and it's not fun for the viewer. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I honestly don't. But I have frustrations with a replay in general. I really do.
Replays have taken a different kind of a face in the NBA.
Can you go off? I'll be back.
Yeah, and I was talking about this. Deb in the chat trying to figure out who needed to be on the court. It was such a joke. I hate it. Also, I said the same thing to myself. Was karma's a bitch, and that's it is. It's like, I mean, that's just when you have a player like Paul George and the way the Clippers were like kind of down the stretch with all these different things happening and everything else, like everything catches up. Like, I've always been a big believer of ball don't lie. Like whenever there's like a questionable call, the other player has to go to the line and shoot some free throws. They miss. And it's that mentality, ball don't lie. And sure enough, in this aspect, it was a fantastic finish though. It was absolutely insane to see, and some of us saw it. Scotty said he saw it too. This lob out of bounds to go and win this game outright. Clippers could have put this away, and they didn't. And the Suns capitalized. Now, keep in mind, the Suns are going to be getting back one of the catalysts for their team, and that's Chris Paul. He's been out with COVID issues, and I thought he was vaccinated, by the way. I guess he maybe wasn't. Maybe I looked at some different reports. But that's another aspect of this series that I feel like I don't think is going to be the same as the initial series. So the Clippers have gone down 0-2 twice so far in this playoffs, and they've come back to win. I don't see that happening here for the simple fact that they struggled in these first two games, and Chris Paul hasn't been leading that team yet. Chris Paul is still just chilling on the side with COVID and coming back here potentially in this next game, if I'm not mistaken, Scotty. I don't know if I've heard any updates. They say he's questionable. They're more likely advancing him to he's going to be playing. He's ready.
He's going to play.
And
he'll be playing game 3.
So I don't anticipate this getting any easier for the LA Clippers.
That's Nick Wright's MVP right there, the Chris Paul.
Don't even get me started on Nick Wright. Don't even get me started on Nick. Well, I want Nick Wright on this show. Nick Wright, if you're watching right now, I want you on our show. I want you to just we'll talk things out a little bit. Obviously, you've been getting some heat. You're talking on the phone in your car to people, this and that. MVP stuff. Let's talk about some things. How about that? But MVP, don't get me wrong. Chris Paul is a game changer, which is why I think this series is over, because you've been playing with arguably without. People say Devin Booker's the best scorer on this team, which he is. People saying DeAndre Ayton's has been which he is. I think Chris Paul adds a completely different depth and dynamic to this offense and this team and this just mentality, this leadership, that I don't think a lot of other teams have that kind of leadership in the playoffs across all the rest of the teams left. Chris Paul is that guy. So look out, man. That's why this one could be over pretty quickly. I think the Suns will split in LA. I want to see where's you know who I'm about to call on? Suns in 4 guy. You got Suns in 4? Obviously he does, because he's Suns in 4 guy.
He's of course going to be Suns in 4. He's got celebrity status for beating up a guy.
Can you imagine being famous? Quickly. Can you imagine being famous off of a video? Like he's getting T-shirts that are being sold, and he's making money off of T-shirts. Like he's just a fan that went to a Nuggets game. Is he smart
enough? I'm not sure he's smart enough to get making money off that. I bet he just said, "Yeah, go ahead." Did you see an article? Is he making money off?
He was on Bleacher Report with the Bleacher Report, the head guy, that kind of clown guy, which, obviously, he he's an interesting dude. He's entertaining. But he did an interview with him, and he was like, yeah, he has the T-shirt out, the Suns in 4 T-shirt that they're selling through Bleacher Report that he's making money off of from his thing. And it was like, damn, this guy taking full advantage of this. Deb in chat, I went and took a shower, came back, and they were still trying to figure out who needed to be on the court. Yeah. No, that was a whole thing. I'm telling you.
You probably took a long shower. Even like I said, 33 minutes for 90 seconds of gameplay. It's not a good look.
No. So right now we're as of this very moment, we're guiding ourselves towards the Phoenix Suns Atlanta Hawks finals based off of the current records of these series. That could change. I'm not jumping to conclusions here. The other series in the East is going to be more competitive than this one, but I think anything can happen. So, yeah, that's where we're at with the NBA playoffs here. I want to touch on the Euro 2020s real quick before, we're kind of getting towards the latter end of our stream, so I want to make sure we touch on that. A lot of action today. There were some interesting games that kind of surprised me a little bit, and one of those was the France-Portugal game, which ended up in a draw. I was hoping France would come away with that one. Didn't end up pulling it through. But, yeah, that's where we're at with the UEFA 2020. Now, let me pull this up here. We have the tables all built out here. So we're going to jump in and see what these look like. And make sure that, as far as these go, we are kind of getting you up to date with everything that's going on here. So, let's pull these up here. Boom. Oops. All right. And actually, that's not it. Give me 1 second here. Has all queued up for you guys early on, and all of a sudden, everything is just off the rails. By the way, let us know in the chat whether you're NBA, NHL. By the way, NHL. How did that game finish in the NHL, by the way?
Oh, our Islanders won in overtime. Moving on to a game 7. Let's go.
Oh, man.
Let's go, New York.
Okay. All right.
We've been on the Islanders throughout the playoffs, of course. And here we are. They after losing, they lost game 5, 8-0, I think. But pulled out a 3-2. They were down 2-1 in game 6. Got a equalizer. And then early in overtime, I think, got a goal to move on to a game 7. So New York and Tampa Bay will be moving on to a game 7. And even better than that, Montreal is up 3-2 on Las Vegas. So all good things in hockey right now.
Yeah. No, hockey's been fascinating to watch. Like, even though the Avs got knocked out, man, we got some interesting matchups. Hey, we're the biggest Islanders fans we've ever been in our entire lives right now. Go Islanders. But we'll see. I mean, last time I checked, yeah, it was even based off of, I think, the scoreboard I had, because we don't update the scoreboard quite as bit as we need. It's not dynamic quite yet. But early on, I think I had Tampa Bay up 1-0 when it first started the stream.
And they were up 2-1, I think, going to the third. So let me look at this real quick to make sure, but I'm vaguely confident that wait for it. Islanders got actually Tampa was up 2-0. Tampa was up 2-0 with about 8 minutes, actually less than 8 minutes left in the second period. They went up 2-0. And then less than 2 minutes later, Islanders got a goal to make it 2-1. And then about 9 minutes left in the third period, the Islanders were able to tie it up. And then a minute 8 into overtime, the Islanders got a goal to head back to Tampa for a game 7.
Crazy, man. I'm gonna be all over watching that game 7. When is that game 7?
I would imagine 2 days from now, but 6:20. Yep, 6:25. So 2 days from now.
Okay. All right. So Friday.
What
night.
day is today? Friday.
Oh man,
6 o'clock our time.
I have an anniversary dinner that night that I might have to. I might have to miss some of that game, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd watch every.
You guys are already on your 4th anniversary. So at this
I know
point, it's
at
like,
this point it's just early on. It's like, well, maybe I just postpone the anniversary dinner. I just don't even do it.
yeah,
Uh,
I would avoid it.
Deb in chat, let's go Islanders. Yeah, no, I think all of us are Islanders fans at this point. We don't want to see Vegas win. At least I don't. I'm kind of one of those players or people that I don't like to see the team that beat me win very often. It's not. Suns are a little different story ish. I don't hate seeing the Suns win, just based off of like who's left, but. That's a whole nother story. But let's dive in. We had some Euro 2020s here we want to catch up on. We had 4 games today on the pitch that we want to touch on. Now,
finish the group stage.
We finished the group stage. Now, we're going to go through all those here shortly. I want to go over these games here in this particular group, and this is what is this? Group E that I want to touch on. So we had Sweden, Spain, Slovakia, and Poland. Now, 2 of these ended up moving through, Sweden and Spain. Slovakia and Poland end up not moving on. But Spain had a huge win today, 5-0 over Slovakia. They just dominated. They were putting up. There was one goal in this game that was kind of crazy and ridiculous where the goalie ended up the ball hit the crossbar, went straight up, and the goalie punched it into his own goal. That was insane. We were talking about. Were you talking about own goals in this Euro 2020?
Yes, I was.
A little bit.
It's wild to me how many own goals occur, where defenders just have no awareness on where they're at and what they're doing when the ball comes towards them.
That happened here in this game,
and that's why they're playing defense. To be clear.
Yeah. So Spain is getting back to what Spain does, and that's. Trying to get. They started out with a couple draws, finally got a win here. So that was good to see them jump in and finally be a dominant presence in this group. And then down below here we had Sweden with a win, 3-2 over Poland. And then the Germans ended up getting a draw with Hungary as well, by the way, today. And then France and Portugal was the other side of this one. So
another tie.
Yeah, another tie. Which honestly, let's go to that group as well. So let me find that one here.
It's the other direction.
Oh,
go the other direction.
There we go.
Feel pretty solid about that. There we are.
There we are. All right. So France and Germany end up moving on. Portugal. Sorry,
Portugal moved on as well. So
did they?
Yeah, so they have, of 24 teams, 16 move on. So the top 3 seeds in each bracket move on. So Portugal did move on. Germany was dangerously close to finishing last in this table. They were down to Hungary 2-1, and they scored in I believe the 84th minute to tie this up. If Germany doesn't score and tie that game, they finish last in this table, and they don't move on in this group. That would be the biggest upset of this group stage, is Germany not moving on. But because of how they played and some other teams, we have some really, really fun matchups in the round of 16. The ones I'm looking forward to the most, we got Belgium, who I think is the best team right now in Europe and maybe in the world. They face Portugal in the round of 16 on Sunday, so that should be a lot of fun. And then the other matchup that I like the most is Tuesday. We have England, Germany in the round of 16. So
there you go. You're English.
My England boys, who weren't the most convincing, but also finished with 2 wins and a tie to move on as the first place team in their table with Croatia, Czech Republic, and Scotland. So, they're moving on with that. Not overly impressive in those games, and now they'll have a tough game against a Germany team that didn't play great, but I assume will be Hungary. Ooh, I said Hungary, which is who they played today. That was on accident. But we're gonna have some interesting round of 16 games. Otherwise, Wales and Denmark. It starts on Saturday. I'm sorry, with Wales and Denmark and Italy and Austria facing off on Saturday. So that's the round of 16 start. It'll be finished on Tuesday, and then we'll be down to quarterfinal matchups. But by far, I think those two matchups with Belgium and Portugal and England and Germany are the two to watch moving forward.
When did you say the England game is?
That's on our time, Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Tuesday at 10 a.m. Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right. Oh, there it is. There it is. I see it now. So, yeah, that'll be it. You know what, Scotty? Before this Euro 2020 is over, we got to go to one of the pubs. We got to go to, like, English Bulldog here in Denver. We got to go to one of those, and we got to catch a match for sure. Like, that's something I've been wanting to do for a long, long time that I haven't been able to do where, I mean, usually, you know, these games happen really, really early, so you're doing some day drinking, which is one of my favorite things to do, one. But two, I mean, it's a lot of fun to just spend an entire, like, morning/afternoon just watching some soccer, i.e. football, and just having a good time with a bunch of crazy rowdy people at the bar. Because, you know, here in the United States, we get pretty crazy with football, like American football. We get pretty crazy with NBA, and, you know, baseball is whatever, you know, like from a bar watching standpoint, excitement-wise, it's, you know, you get to the end of a game, it's fine. But there's something different about watching, like, world-class soccer at a pub that is designed to watch that. So we got to figure that out.
For sure. I could probably go for England, Germany at Tuesday at 10 a.m. and start drinking. I have to go into work later, but it is what it is.
I mean, I could do a half day myself. Hopefully nobody's watching from work that is, I'm not too worried about that. We have only a handful of viewers so far. We're still growing, guys. By the way, we're still growing. Hit those follow buttons. Make sure you're hitting all of those things that help us out because it means a lot to us. It doesn't cost you anything. It's amazing. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you're with us each and every stream that we go live. But, yeah, we got some fun matchups coming up here. We are getting into those knockout rounds, and we want to be with you all along the way. So let's go back up to here at the top. Let's start with Group A, see what happened here. So Italy, Wales, Switzerland, so as far as
all
this,
three of those guys, all three of those
qualified.
advanced.
Yep.
So
this is going to be an interesting one. Turkey is the only one to not advance here. Italy is the strongest one coming out with 3 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses. So finishing with 9 points out of this group. They are the favorites there. Belgium out of this group here finished with 9 points total, 3-0. Points for 7, points against 1. They just dominated this group. And Denmark and Belgium will be coming out of Group B. Going into Group C, we have 3 representatives coming out of Group C: Netherlands, Austria, and Ukraine. Now, Netherlands, definitely the best team in this group that they will be representing in the next round. So, Austria and Ukraine, I don't have super high expectations for, but rip North Macedonia. Sorry, guys. It was great that you got in here, but
hell of a run.
Cinderella is over. Just talked about England here being the biggest winner in points and coming out of this group as the top point getter here. 7 points, 2 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses, 2 goals for, 0 against. Croatia and Czech Republic coming in right behind. Scotland is the oddball out in this group. Group E, we talked about Spain and Sweden coming out of this one. Slovakia, Poland on the odd man out here. Spain hasn't looked as good. Obviously, I'm secondary to United States. I jump on Spain. And I don't know, they had a nice little momentum boost here, getting a 5-0 win over Slovakia, but it didn't feel like it was, I don't know. It's Slovakia, right? You know, you don't get too excited. You want to see them play high level like that against some of the bigger powerhouses. So we'll see how that ends up panning out in the next stage. France, Germany end up moving on here along with Portugal. So and that's going to wrap up this group. We kind of talked about this already. and that's what we're having for the European Championship. So, a lot of stuff here. It only gets better from here, Scotty. The next round is going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, we got a lot of international soccer finally kicking up. U.S. is going to have the Gold Cup coming up in a little bit, which doesn't involve a lot of their marquee players on their roster right now, but it will be a lot of fun to watch regardless. And then World Cup qualifying coming up. So we'll be staying on the international soccer trail and seeing what happens with all that. But finally excited to get back into that after a hiatus, it felt like, where they just weren't playing games, of course, which a lot of things weren't happening. So we're getting back to normal, which I hate to say, but because a lot of people say that phrase and I kind of hate it, but I guess that's true.
No, that's where we're at. Things are getting back to normal from a COVID standpoint. Fans are back in the stands. It's all good. We got people brawling in we have fights going on with Phoenix Suns fans all the time. So that's how you know life's getting back to normal to some extent, with fans getting in brawls. So it is what it is. But we have so much going on across all these different sports. We have so much coming up, guys. Now, viewers' choice. We like to give the last couple minutes of our show and we could talk for as long as you guys want to, but we like to give you guys a chance to talk about anything you want: NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, any sport you like, any topic you like. Throw it out there. We love to talk about it. So if you have something you want to just get off your chest in the last few minutes here, throw it out there. Deb and chat doing just that. Will Tampa Bay add a Stanley Cup after a Super Bowl win? Yeah, that's a thing.
Well, they actually won last year's Stanley Cup, so I hope not. That's just selfish. That's selfish.
Yeah. You got the last team to do that. We had two teams win the championship of the same was the Lakers and the Dodgers, I believe.
There was no creativity in 2020.
Lakers and Dodgers were the last one, which, you don't like either of those teams, Dodgers or Lakers, but it is what it is. So yeah, Tampa Bay, they're kind of the hot spot for championships at the moment, right? Tampa Bay, you got the Buccaneers coming in for year 2 with Tom Brady, trying to get something going. Antonio Brown kicking off some of these allegations, and he's like, they cancel his probation. By the way, did you see that? They were like, oh, we're gonna take away your probation. Yep. Because of good behavior, and you've been so great. He's still a nutcase, but I will say, good for him for being on good behavior, because he is all over the map.
I would love for Tampa to make it back to the Super Bowl, because I know my Chiefs will be there. So I'd love to see Tampa in the Super Bowl. Let's go. Let's run it back. Let's see what happens this time.
You want a rematch?
We won't have our entire offensive line injured, and we'll be ready to go.
As long as your defensive players don't carry Uzis in their cars consistently over the course of the season.
He's gonna be fine. I'm not worried about that.
I know he'll be fine. They always find ways to get out of these things, so I'm not too worried about him. But hey, you got to be rolling through, packing, making sure you're safe.
It was his security guard's gun. That's what he said. So I believe him. I believe it was a security guard, and quite frankly, that wouldn't even be illegal in a lot of states. But California is in fact the worst. So maybe not on that respect. Maybe don't have an Uzi. Although we don't know, like when you say Uzi, there's a lot of interpretation there. Like this isn't an Uzi that's like fully automatic. I'm assuming that can just fire away. So probably just looks. I don't know. We'll wait for details on that, but he's gonna be fine. For those who don't know, Frank Clark, the defensive end for the Chiefs, got arrested with concealing an Uzi in his car. Whatever. He didn't shoot it. What's the problem? I do think he'll be fine, but at the same time, Deb in chat, hey Scott, last night's game, I'm kind of leaning towards the Suns bandwagon, kind of. Yeah, I don't know that I'm like a Suns bandwagon, but I just think they're the best team left, and I wouldn't hate the idea of them winning.
Yeah.
I think they're a pretty solid squad. And Chris Paul getting one. He's my least favorite player on that team, but that says something where I'm like not fully opposed to him getting one. So,
like the Suns haven't. Here's the thing, like
yeah, they haven't paid their dues.
they haven't done. The Suns haven't done shit, ever. That's the problem. Like there's no.
I mean, Nash Stoudemire days, they were pretty legit.
Yeah, but no one really took them seriously. Like they were the highest scoring team, but then you had
they
like
made some Western Conference Finals.
You had the Spurs and the Lakers at that point that were just like you perennial, like Popovich taking his Spurs, the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, like those teams really they limited what the Suns could do overall, and I just felt like for some reason they just never really got the credit that they probably should have deserved based off of how good those other teams were. But outside of that, man, the Suns haven't really pissed off anybody because they haven't been good. They haven't really been relevant to the point where it's like you care about them. So at this point, there's maybe this is the year they start building that reputation of like fighting other fans and doing all these things where we're like, all right, like next season they start doing this again. You start seeing videos rise, or you start getting obnoxious Suns fans if they win or whatever. Then you can start hating them a little bit. But up until this point, you don't really hate them yet. You can't hate them yet. Like the Raiders went through a phase where like no matter how bad they were just always talking shit. Or the Patriots fans are always winning, and you hate Patriots fans because they're always winning and they're always talking about how great they are. Or like Lakers fans are always entitled or whatever. So the Suns haven't exactly established themselves as a team that you hate yet. But who knows, man? I mean, I don't see this being a long-term dynasty by any means. Like Chris Paul's going to retire. Then you're left with DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker unless they add some pieces, which I don't see them doing. It's not a big market to do that. So
Bridges is pretty good.
Yeah, Bridges is good. He could develop into something a little bit bigger, but I just don't see the Suns being once Chris Paul retires, man. I just don't see him really doing much. Just my opinion.
To be fair, they're up 2-0 in the Western Conference Finals without Chris Paul.
True, that's true. But I don't know. My Nuggets have something to say about that.
I hope so.
Moving forward, and they will if they stay healthy moving forward. So, yeah, we have a man. We'll see what the Suns end up doing here. Obviously, they get a big win tonight. Or last night, the Hawks get a big win tonight in a close one with the Bucks. Want to give a big shout out to everyone who popped in. Belly, Deb in chat, thank you so much. I know it was kind of light in the chat tonight, so we want to get more people back in. If you're here, feel free to throw out your comments, your hot takes, anything you want to talk about. Get things off your chest. We love all of the participation, but otherwise we love the fact that you just tune in and enjoy the stream. So hit that follow button if you are able to. If you haven't already, it means a lot to us. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and we just love to grow our community that much more. So any follows mean the world. So Deb in chat, Hawks got lucky. Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I really wish I would have watched the end of or just overall the course of the game, but missed it. But we're here with you guys, so we rely on you guys to give us those updates on the vibe of the game as well. So that helps. But appreciate all of you guys. It's Wednesday. We're almost there. It's Thursday tomorrow. Then it's Friday. Then we're on the weekend. Then we're back on Sunday. Sunday, we're live here at 7:30 Mountain Time, 9:30 Eastern. So we want to make sure that you are here. And the only reason you get a notification would be if you're following. So hit that follow button. Scotty, anything else you want to close out with?
Nah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll look forward to Sunday. We'll have some Euro Cup. We'll know who's in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll be further along in these NBA playoffs and hit all the other stories that are occurring throughout sports. We're not far from the Olympics, and we're getting closer and closer to NFL training camp, which is my time of year.
Yep.
So let's go.
NFL training camp, NBA draft is coming up here very, very soon. A lot of things to touch on. So make sure you're here, you're following, so you get all those updates. Appreciate it. Follow us on all these other social media channels. We have all of our streams on YouTube, so make sure you catch those anytime you want as a replay. And hey, love you guys. We will see you back here in the lab on Sunday. Have a great rest of your week, and be well to each other. Have a good week. Enjoy each other. Be good to each other, right, Scotty?
Nah, talk shit.
Talk shit. Yeah. Suns in 4. Kick the shit out of somebody.
There we go.
All right, guys. Have a good